Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. This is the In Deep on the Delta Weekly Report for October 26. Before we get into the report, I'd like to talk about a little bit of business that's going on. And I want to, for those of you, and this is basically for kayak anglers, but for those of you who are not familiar with some of the regulations that have been changed for saltwater. I know this has nothing to do with bass fishing, but we got to get behind these guys. They have shut off the inshore rock fishing. You can only fish in water that's over 300 feet. Now what this has successfully done, it has knocked all our kayak fishing friends out of their passion, fishing shallow water rockfish during the winter months. Now they have a non-motorized vessel petition on the internet. I'm going to give you their website so you can get on that, look up what they're doing, what they want to do. They're just trying to open up shallow water rock fishing for non-motorized vessels, basically kayaks. And man, I feel for these guys. I know the Fresh and Salty crew out there, my son with them, and a lot of guys that go up there. And this is their passion, and they're losing their ability to go out and fish. So if any of you guys could get on that site and just sign the petition, that would be helpful to these guys. Maybe we can save their fishery. So that is the non-motorized vessel petition. I'll get the information up for you so you can check out that site. Next on the line, Fairfield Sassoon Bass Reapers. They're having their 2023 Lake Berryessa Open. It's a team tournament up on Lake Berryessa, November 19th. Check that out. You've got the information. Go up, have a good time, fish a beautiful lake, and you guys know what Berryessa can be in the fall. It might be a really great time to be up there. You can see we got guys going out fishing today. There's some kayak guys out there right now. Everyone's catching fish. It may not be the size that you want or the numbers that you want, but the fishing this fall has been good. Now, the small weather fronts that have come in the last couple weeks, they have put a damper on the fishing for, you know, half a day. There's been periods where if you're out before the storm, the fishing is just off the hook, and you know you hit that post frontal system, and it's really tough. But all in all, the fishing has been pretty darn good out here. Water temperatures are holding at about 67 degrees throughout the Delta. That's in the central Delta. I've been up around Liberty fishing up there a couple of times. It's 67, 65 degrees up there. That's what we want, a slow burn for water temperatures. We don't want to have winter set in one day and have the temperatures drop from, say, a couple weeks ago to 70 degrees down to 58 degrees. That slow burn is giving these fish a chance to feed up, get comfortable with chasing bait, and I think they're comfortable right now knowing that they know what the barometer is doing, they know what the seasons are doing, they know the days are getting shorter, the nights are getting cooler, but that water temperature is staying steady. So that's allowing them to just continue to feed, and I think they're going to do that for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So other than water temperature, I will say that the clarity is all over the board out here. Fished with Rob Cloutier a couple days ago. We were out at Frank's Track and we were looking at, I'll say 6, 7, 8 feet of viz. We get out, went out through Fisherman's Cut, fished the channel out there. We had anywhere from, maybe 3 or 4 feet of visibility. So depending on where you are, you're going to have varied degrees of visibility. The fish are biting in the clear water. They're biting in the stained water. It doesn't really matter. Just get out there and give it a try. Let's talk stripers. The stripers have taken a little dip this week. They've taken a dip for about maybe a couple weeks. And last week I talked to Jeff Suhu. He's got no problems out here. He's been out here a long time. He says this is a normal thing. This time of year, every year, we've got a little dip. Fish come in and out of the bay. They're moving around. The fish are still out there. They're just hard to catch. I mentioned Rob and I were out fishing the channel out from Fisherman's Cut around that area, looking for largemouth bass. Rob was graphing a lot of fish, a lot of stripers, almost everywhere that we could find moving water. There were pods of stripers, not huge schools, but they were out there. We did catch one decent striper. I think Rob got one about 22 inches on a spinnerbait. We weren't fishing for them. When we saw them, we would make a few casts. They weren't really on a bite, and that's what everybody is saying. They're seeing a lot of fish out there. They're just not, they're not cooperating. That's going to change as this water slowly gets a little cooler. There's plenty of bait out here. Fish are going to come in. We're going to have a good striper season. I guess 10 days ago, I was doing really well out north, out at Liberty. having some great topwater fun. It was sporadic, but it was there, and that kind of died off for me, so I can see what everybody's saying. Also say that there are very few sea lions in the system now, and when I'm seeing the sea lions, they're not hunting. They're just moving. They're looking for fish, but they're not, staying in one place, hunting for schools of fish that they're on. They're moving up and down the river really quick, and they're looking for stripers primarily. Again, they will eat a bass every now and then, but that's just a snack for them. If you see a sea lion eating a bass now, that's just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. They are not looking for largemouth bass. They're looking for stripers. So with that, let's get on to the largemouth bass. It's been pretty darn good. I've got a couple of guests today, and I want you guys to hear what both Rob and Christian, Rob Cloutier from the Bass Hole and Christian Ostrander, I was able to get in contact with both those guys and sit down and talk about what they've been doing, and they've got some information for you. So let's start off with what Rob from the Bass Hole has to say. Okay, another special guest today. I got Rob with me today. We were out fishing around the track, fishing the main channel. I haven't been out here as much as you have. I was really surprised at the clarity. We had, I'd say 5, 6, 7 feet of clarity in a lot of places.
Yeah, crystal clear, crystal clear.
Talk about what you've been doing and what you would suggest for somebody coming out, next weekend, and how could they pick up a few fish?
Well, Central Delta wise, there is a good rip bait bite. There's a good spinner bait bite, good soft plastic bite. Pick your poison. You can go out there, throw a rip bait all day, catch 20, 30, 40 fish, and maybe possibly get a big one. But for me, it's been spinnerbait, sometimes the chatterbait. We got that weather yesterday. They were eating that chatterbait. They were eating the spinnerbait yesterday. Flat calm, I'm out there punching, throwing that jig. Also, that crankbait's been doing pretty good. But if you just want to go out there and catch a lot of numbers, that rip bait and that spinnerbait are your best friend right now.
The fish in that 12 to 14 inch class are really healthy fish. They're nice and fat, and they provide a lot of fun. They may not win you a tournament, but if you're just coming out to fish,
those are the ones you want.
Yeah, so any certain colors they should be throwing, just shad colors? Is that what you're concentrating on 100% now?
So from what I see from the system, we got the shad, we've got these little shiners in here. They're like about inch long, look just like a rip bait. They're like a silver with a little streak running through them. Those are what they've really been targeting here, other than the craws. There's not much of a bluegill bite, but that shad, that bait fish pattern is what's really been working. So anything white with silver. I'm throwing a golden shiner with a gold blade and a black nickel blade. You were throwing a white with the gold blades on it today.
Oops. One thing that I heard you talking about today, I want to show everybody, because I hadn't thought about this, but you had caught a couple of fish outside the mouth on the bottom lip, and you were saying that they were picking up and hitting the blades.
Yep.
And this is about the size of the bait. So instead of hitting the main part of the bait where the hook is, they're coming up hitting the blade, and you're catching them underneath the...
Getting them right there in the gills.
So that's something to think about. I hadn't really thought about that a whole lot, but it makes sense, because it also would make sense, I think, if we really wanted to catch something besides the camera and the camera stand there, we could have put on a smaller Kitech, like a 2.8 or something, with a 1/4 ounce head, spinning rod, and you probably really wreck a lot of, I'll say 10 to 12 inch fish.
Yep, with the occasional big one, I believe, too. But yeah, I agree. A little underspin, a flashy swimmer, anything with the blade underneath it, it's forcing these fish to grab that whole bait versus grabbing the top. Would have probably put some more numbers in the boat. Again, the hardest thing to do is to change your fishing ways, and when you're out there, you just want to keep going.
Yeah. Okay, Rob, thanks. I appreciate you taking the time out of our fishing day to do a little report for us. Everybody appreciates that. Let's talk to Christian. We'll see what Christian has to say. What's going on with you, Christian?
We've been catching them on, the original Delta stuff. We've been catching them on spooks, been catching them on ploppers. The chatterbite's been all right. And punching, you always got to come out here and punch. And I've been, focusing around the ponds, focusing around, dead end sloughs, halfway back in the dead end sloughs. Doesn't seem like they're quite all the way back in yet. And there's a lot of nice stripers. They're definitely mixing, okay? So you could catch a nice striper and throw back in there and catch a nice bass. And I'm really seeing them pin that bait on the bank. I mean, today we were seeing stripers just boiling up right up on the rocks, and we throw in there. And
what are you throwing for the stripers?
We're throwing a spook or a chatterbait. We're not necessarily targeting them, but when the bird's going nuts, we're gonna go take a peek. So, but today we did catch a nice bass in them as well, a 6-pounder on a top water, so that was cool. So a lot of fish to be caught. I'm going to say we got another a good month of good fishing out here. When it gets cold, I'm looking forward for the marina bites start popping off, and yeah, like I said, another month. The fishing's going to be great out here.
You said that you were doing well at low tide. You're just you're punching the higher tide in close. As soon as that tide starts to pull out, you're going out over the
so we've been having a lot of success throwing right on that weed line when that tide drops out. Okay, walking your spook, throwing the plopper down those weed edges on that low tide. A lot of people panic when the tide gets low. Low tide just really concentrates them, man. I love fishing out here on low tide, so we've been doing that. Then fish have been hiding in the grass. Haven't been punching them crazy good in the grass, but they'll sure come out and show themselves with a topwater bait and a chatter. So. And
is that topwater bait? Are you getting those fish to come up throughout the day, even on a sunny day?
Absolutely, 100%. Okay. Yeah, they're biting it. If you keep that spook or a plopper in your hand. You'll fish every day. We've had at least 3 chances at a 5+ pound fish, so they're definitely coming out now, man. I think the fishing is the best I've seen it all year out here. It's a great fall. The bite's really picking up. The weights are good. The hook took 20. My buddy won the hook yesterday. Barry won it with 20, and I heard Logan Hunsey weighed like 25 in the Thursday shoot. So there's big bags to be caught. The fishing is good. Burn some gas, run around, and get out here. I'm going to be guiding a ton middle of November, so give me a call. I'm going to try to stick it out here on the Delta and a little mixing with Clear Lake. So Steve will include my contact in there.
I'll get all the information for you, Christian. Let's get back to the program. I'll finish this up and let you guys get out and go fishing.
Sweet.
GoPro. Okay, I want to thank Christian for his 2 cents in this. The situation out here is it is always tidal related, but not so much tides right now. You can catch them at any tide. What I have found, and this is going to be my 2 cents for the week, check your moon phases. The moon phases that call for high solunar activity, where there's a lot of fish and game activity, they have been right on. Starting a couple of weeks ago, I was telling you I got some nice stripers one day, and they were really, in about a 45-minute to maybe an hour and a half time slot. And when I went home that day, I looked at the moon phases, and it corresponded almost exactly. So what I started doing is paying attention to those moon phase more and more. And for the last 2 weeks, whenever I've been out, when I have had success and when there is what I would call a bite window, I always check that moon phase, and it has corresponded really close to the moon phase. So my suggestion, if you're coming out this weekend or next week or anytime soon, check your moon phases. You could go to Tides for Fishing, and they'll show you the times of high solunar activity. And let's just say it says 9 to 11:30. You want to make sure you're out here fishing between 9 and 11:30. Means you don't have to get up at 5 in the morning, but be out here at 8:30, 8 o'clock. Make sure you're not running around between 9 and 11:30. Make sure you're on a spot that you think there's fish, and make sure you fish those moon phases. I think that's really important. With that being said, I have been both north and south. Fishing has been day to day. I have a good day or a good half a day one day, and the next day, it's back to grinding. It's not a very steady bite that you can count on every day to be bam, 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 bam. If you can come out here on a Saturday or Sunday and catch a ton of fish, you can be on the wrong Saturday or Sunday and it could just be a grind. There are still a lot of big fish coming out punching. I've been doing well punching, but you got to work at it. And again, check your tides and the moon phases, because the bites or the bite windows are very specific. If you just want to catch fish, like Rob was saying, throw a jerk bait. You can throw a top water. If you are looking for bigger fish, stay with those topwater baits. If you're looking for a lot of fish, jerk baits. You can have a lot of fun with the spinning rod, 8-pound test, and a fluke. And I've caught some decent fish. It is a good time to be out here. The pressure is extremely low. And as Christian said, I think this bite, as long as we don't get a bunch of weather come in, it's going to last for another 3-4 weeks, hopefully. This is a time to be out here, guys. It is beautiful. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, there's not a bunch of skiers running around. It's just a great time to be on the Delta. I think if you come out here, whether you catch 5 fish, 10 fish, they're all 10 inches long or they're all 10 pounds, you're gonna have a great time out here. It's absolutely beautiful. The cloud cover has been unbelievable. There's a nice little breeze. Make sure you don't stay in one place too long. Move around. The fish are congregated. They're not all in one particular spot, but they will be close to that particular spot. So if you catch a fish, make a few casts in there. If you don't catch them, make sure you're looking at the exact type of structure or where you caught that fish, and look in that same area that may have that that same type of structure. And I think you guys are going to be okay. So if you have not been sending reports, good, bad, or ugly, make sure you send them to scooper9561032. I appreciate those reports, and I appreciate you guys talking to me at the dock, giving me your reports in person. Anytime, I'm available to take your reports. Thanks a lot, guys. Good luck out there. We'll see you guys on the river.